Why are there 23 British pilots buried in the heart of Florida? I took a little side trip recently to a place that I find very moving, but a place that few people actually know about, even in the local area. It's an interesting spot because while it is in the middle of a cemetery, it has a direct connection to aviation and to you and I and to world history. In this spot, there are 23 British pilots buried. If you hang on and listen to this episode, you'll find out what the story is behind that. But there are 24 headstones. And if you hang out till the end, I'll tell you why that 24th headstone is something that maybe connects the rest of us to these 23 young men and the story that led to them being there.
I've been thinking a lot about the past lately and how we don't necessarily respect it for what it's done for us and how it got us to where we are today. And that brings me here to Arcadia, Florida, to a place known as the British plot. But we'll get to that in a minute. We often get wrapped up in our current time frame and we start thinking that that's the way things always were and that's the way things always will be. And that's not at all true. Take, for example, this little park. It's in my hometown of Winter Haven, Florida. It's a beautiful little park, well maintained by the city. It's got a splash pad for the kids and restrooms and walking trails and seating in the shade for the older folks. Just down the hill there is Lake Silver, where the Cypress Gardens ski team practices on a regular basis and does free shows for the community. But that's not what it always was. It wasn't a city park. In the 1940s, this exact spot was a POW camp. German prisoners of war lived in tents on this spot and worked in the citrus groves. It was a very different time. I had a friend who was considerably older than me who, as a boy, would go down and watch these Germans play soccer because he had never seen that, had no idea what they were doing. There's a little international flavor in the heart of wartime. And that is what brings me here to Arcadia, Florida, to a place known as the British plot. You'll notice a plaque right back here. Now you may find that a little odd that there was a POW camp in my little town, just a stone's throw away from where Disney World is today, but 45 states had POW camps. It's very possible there was one near you. It's also possible there is something akin to the British plot near you. That's what brings me today to the British plot. This is hallowed ground. Back in World War II, just as today, America was a flight training capital of the world. People came from all over the planet to learn to fly here. And in a world war where you had a place like England that was under attack, it was a little hard to learn to fly there. Very challenging to go on your primary flights when you're being shot at. So throughout the sunbelt of the United States, it was common for English pilots to be based here learning to fly. They were cadets, they were instructors teaching others to fly. They had all signed up to protect their homeland from invasion, from devastation. And they came here, thousands of miles away, to learn the skills they would need to do that. Now, maybe a lesser known thing in the annals of history is how incredibly hazardous it was to learn to fly back in the 1930s and 40s. In World War II, the Army Air Force, the US Army Air Force, lost roughly 14,000 airmen to training accidents. Well, that happened here too, in Arcadia, in Florida, with some of these British pilots. And on this spot, 23 of those young men are buried. Men who came here to learn to fly, to protect their homeland, to make aviation a part of their life and use that to benefit others. And they met their end right here. This plot contains 23 young men, the oldest of them still in their early 20s, some as young as 19, who came here to train and steerman primary trainers. If they did well, they'd move up to the Vultee vibrator, the BT-13, as their basic trainer. Vultee vibrator, the BT-13, BT-15, very similar airplane, just a different engine. They were pretty much, they look like a T6 to the untrained eye, but with fixed gear. They don't have retractable gear. I did get to fly a BT-13 once, and it was just amazing. It's quite an experience, and I'm sure when you're a young guy and you're brand new to flying, the steerman is pretty exciting, but stepping up to the BT-13, That's something. And then the advanced trainer, of course, the AT-6 that really got these folks up and going and sort of determined, are you going to be a fighter pilot? Are you going to be a transport pilot? Are you going to be a bomber pilot? What's your role in this? And every one of these 23 young men buried in this spot had those dreams, had those aspirations that they were going to go home and help their country. And every year, during Sun and Fun generally, there's a British contingent that comes here to this spot to honor these young men and the sacrifice they made to protect their homeland. They might not have gotten back to the war, but they tried. They tried hard. And whether their misgivings came from flying into unexpected weather, confusion at night, mechanical issues, inexperience, all the things that still get pilots to this day, these guys put in the effort. They tried, and they're respected to this day by their countrymen and by people here in the United States because on Memorial Day each year, the people of Arcadia come here to honor these young men. So I guess where I'm going with this is maybe we should think about the history of our town and our airport and the men and women who made it what it is today. And maybe instead of showing derision to those old folks for being old folks and wrinkled and maybe a little out of touch and perhaps they don't even know who Katy Perry is and don't know why there's such a big fuss about her going to space. Those folks laid the groundwork for us. Some of them are still with us. Most of them unfortunately are gone, but there's still some place where you can go visit them, where you can read their story, where you can appreciate what they did for us, what they did for the world around them, and whether they were successful or not. They tried. And you can't do more than try. You really can't. This is a somber place, the British plot. It's a remarkable place to spend some time and to stand at the grave of a 19-year-old young man who did his best. And it didn't work out. But I'll bet he didn't think that all these years later, people would still be coming by to say thank you. We appreciate the effort. We very much appreciate the sacrifice. And we're just trying to emulate what you were trying to do as best as we can. So from the British plot in Arcadia, Florida, I hope you'll go find the local war memorials and things in your town that really did help make your town what it is today. And, and even maybe recognize that international flavor of it, where we had British pilots here training to fight Germans who were imprisoned in my town of Winter Haven, and maybe yours as well. It's a weird world out there. Be a part of it. Do your best and keep flying. You can only get better.
Now, if you're fortunate enough to have the time and be in the location to visit Arcadia, Florida, and go to the Oak Ridge Cemetery where the British plot is, you maybe notice that there are 24 headstones, 23 of which look identical. They are the same material, same shape, same size, and they all have the name of a British pilot, and there's a story for each and every one of them. The 24th looks different. It's the same shape, it's the same size, but it's a different material. And on that headstone is the name John Paul Riddle. You may notice that is very similar to Embry Riddle, same guy. John Riddle was the co-owner of the flight school where these 23 men flew along with their compatriots who went back to Britain and did fight in the war. John passed away in 1989 after an illustrious career, 45 years or more after his young students did. John was cremated and his ashes were scattered at sea, but he wanted to be connected to those young boys, his former students, even all those years later. There is a headstone for John Paul Riddle right next to his students from all those years ago. And that's a level of respect and a level of commitment and a level of connection I think any of us could aspire to. That's a man who took responsibility for his work and felt a kinship with those he had worked with all those years before. So I hope you get to go to the Oak Ridge Cemetery one day, to the British plot, maybe even on Memorial Day, when the Rotary Club and the people of Arcadia come and celebrate those men and that spot. It's a heartwarming experience. And it's history, our history, that absolutely deserves our attention from time to time.